Hey, tonight we're going to cook some chicken breasts with a little homemade pasta that people can make at home since everybody has a little more time on their hands now.
Sure.
And a little garlic bread just made with some bread that you might have laying around the house.
So walk us through a little bit with the time that we have about some time management and how we could be able to do this at home. You at home right now have some of these ingredients in your pantry that might be in your fridge. You might even be receiving them, so you can follow along.
All right, first we'll start with the pasta dough ball so we can get that out of the way.
Okay.
All right, so what you do is we have some flour right here, and a general ratio is about 1 cup of flour per 1 egg. So we take that. This is about 2 cups of flour. So we'll add our 2 eggs. And then we begin to stir, right? And you can slowly stir and start working in the egg. You can add salt if you'd like. And then a little bit of olive oil.
And what's the olive oil being added for when you're putting it into this process?
So the olive oil will soften the dough up. It'll give it a better mouthfeel and a nice bite to it.
Okay.
So you mix that up, and just to kind of speed up the process, I made a dough ball already.
Cool.
So we have this over here, and after you knead that dough.
And just show me what kneading is all about.
Okay, yeah, I'll show you.
I want people to know
Absolutely.
how we're going to be doing this because, you know, so many of you at home right now might already have this. You've got flour maybe in your pantry. You've got eggs probably in your refrigerator, a little salt, a little olive oil, maybe some water to just kind of loosen it a little bit. So this is really something you could make at home.
So I like to make it in a bowl so it kind of contains the mess a little bit, right? So you start off with, like you said, your flour and your egg and a little bit of oil, pinch of salt. Then you start kneading it together, and the flour starts incorporating with the moist ingredients. And it starts to coming together as a dough ball. And then you start pressing it together, kind of working it, and then it'll all form into a dough. The texture from the pasta will actually be better if it's made by hand because it's not from a machine, so it doesn't overwork it. So you'll actually have a pasta with a better bite.
I love that because when you get that better bite, you can also still roll it out at home because you don't need to have any kind of attachments, any other necessary tools.
It's a softer dough, so you can roll it out with a rolling pin. We want to spread it out a little bit, and then you just gently start to roll. So we found some flour, so we add a little bit more flour so it doesn't get as sticky, right? Sometimes if you're cooking close to the water, the humidity kind of gets in that dough and makes it a little wet, right? So we're going to roll it out fairly thin, but not too thin. Right? When you're cooking pasta at home with your hands, you want to make sure it has a little bite to it, a little texture, a little integrity, right?
Sure.
So you take it, roll it out, get it to the proper thickness. Once you roll it out,
yeah,
you want to fold it up, right?
Okay.
So you can just kind of fold it like this as long as you have enough flour. Put it on your little bit of your cutting board.
Okay.
I cut off the end just to square it up. And then we're just going to do about tagliatelle-sized noodles. So we're going to go right down, cut the noodles. They don't have to be perfect.
And you could do, you know, lasagna sheets from this. You could do thicker. You could do a lot with this if you really wanted to.
Right? So now you cut your pasta. Just like that, right?
Perfect, perfect.
Then we can go over to the water. Take it, drop it in the water.
I love it. I love
Fresh
it.
pasta cooks a little bit faster than dried pasta.
What do we got now?
Well, Chef, what we have now is just a chicken breast that we're going to sear in the pan. All right, we're just going to use one pan for this. We cooked our pasta, which we have reserved. So we just have a saute pan with a little bit of garlic. We're going to cook the chicken breast a little bit. As soon as that's cooked, we'll take that off. Add a little.
And I love how you just did something too that I don't know if you could be able to really see on the camera here. But what did you put into the oil right there?
So I put a little garlic into the oil. All I did is crush it, and I just chopped it up coarsely, right? We don't want it too small so it doesn't burn. But we want it to get into that oil, permeate, so you get that kind of garlic oil as it's cooking the chicken.
I love it. I love it. And so what are we working with the chicken here? Now, did you just take this? Did you butterfly it? Was this how it was?
This was a rather large breast. This is a pound breast, and I butterflied it so it was in half, right? So you can take whatever size you want for the family. You can use chunks, you can use tenders, you can use pieces. It doesn't have to be anything as specific.
Continue to
Now,
do it.
now, one of the things that people are always worried about cooking chicken is making sure it's done, right? Because of the salmonella. And as you saw, I seared the chicken in the same pan that we're going to make the pan sauce, so then you get that chicken flavor in it. But then I noticed the chicken wasn't all the way done, so I'm actually steeping that chicken in with the cream sauce. A, that gives it more flavor, but B, that also brings the chicken up to temp to make sure it's cooked all the way through. Okay, so what we did after we finished kind of cooking that chicken breast, we added to the same pan that the chicken cooked in with the garlic, the oil, and the milk. I added a little bit of butter to emulsify the liquid that's in the milk, right? But then also when you work the pasta in, we cooked the pasta to about al dente, so it needed to bring up a little bit, right? So then when you cook it in that liquid that's in your pan, the starch releases from the pasta itself and kind of thickens the sauce up, right? So the butter acts as an emulsifier, and the starch from the pasta actually helps thicken the sauce around the noodles.
I love it.
Right? So I just like to toss the chicken breast back in there to make sure that everything has the flavors on it, you know, nice and delicious for everybody, right? So we're going to take our plate.
Well, let's slow it down a little
Slow it down,
bit,
I'm sorry.
too,
We've got some
because
garlic
man,
bread, correct?
You got an appetizer to work with that. So walk me through that. So you just took a little garlic clove.
Yes. So what I did is I just
Is
took
that a pro tip right there? Is
It is.
that all right? So if you're at home watching this, you just saw a pro tip. So walk us through that pro tip right there.
Okay, so what I did is I just took a regular bun that I found, in, you know, like that you have behind the house, right? So it's just a burger bun or any bread that you have laying around the house, right? So you take it, you can toast it, you can put a little bit of olive oil on it. But what I like to do is I either take a tomato, I split it in half, or I take a garlic clove, split it in half. And I just take my knife and kind of make a few scores in it, right? And then cross it the other way. And what that does is it permeates it and opens up the garlic so that you can get that flavor. And then you just take it open face and you literally just rub it. And the coarseness of the bread after it's toasted, it actually, the garlic adheres to it, right?
It brings
and
out some of that oil behind
exactly,
it.
the garlic oil goes onto the toast.
Oh, I
right?
love it. I love it. Again, this is a dish that a recipient of Feeding Tampa Bay will be